Hey everybody, how's it going? It's Archaic here, and today I'm wanting to revisit one of the more popular series that I have on my channel, where I go through all of the different real-life locations in Fallout 76, break them down, give you some history of them, and just kind of show you how well Bethesda was able to bring these real-life locations into this game and to really make you feel like you are walking through post-apocalyptic West Virginia. And as we continue to progress through summer and I bake alive in my own skin, I think it's the perfect time to put on the sunscreen, pack up the family truckster, and hit the road for the amusement park. And that is what we are going to do today as we take a look at Camden Park. So Camden Park is what is known as a trolley park. These were a very popular style of amusement park that emerged during the end of the 1800s and early parts of the 1900s. They were typically located at the end of railway lines and usually owned and operated by rail companies. The purpose for this was to try and get people to ride these lines during the weekend so that they can make a little extra money. And these places were the go-to places. You can meet up with friends, you can bring a picnic, get into a fight, show off your dress, overthrow the government, do whatever you really wanted to. It was one of the places to go during your weekend to relax, and Camden Park was no exception to this. Camden Park was opened in 1903 and was established by the Camden Interstate Railway Company and named after former West Virginia Senator Johnson N. Camden. Now, the park was a little different than other trolley parks in that it wasn't necessarily located at the end of a trolley or rail line, but more at a switching station where you could get off of the train that you were on and get onto a different train to get to your destination. Now, trolley parks really saw their heyday during the 1920s, 1930s, when rail travel was still really popular. An interesting fact about these parks was that typically a lot of immigrant families would actually camp overnight at these parks if they were parks that had electricity, and that just really goes to show you how amazing for their time these parks were. Now, the parks ultimately began to fall out of favor as automobile travel began to become the new norm, and the number has drastically dropped. As of the recording of this video, the number has went from somewhere around nearly 2,000 of these parks down to just 13 parks remaining in the United States. And luckily, West Virginia's Camden Park still exists as sort of this bridge between the old and the new when it comes to family amusement. And now that we've kind of touched on the history of it, let's get into how well Bethesda was able to actually recreate the park. So when you arrive at Camden Park in Fallout 76, you will be greeted by the famous Camden Park sign. Now, obviously in Bethesda fashion, the sign has been changed a little bit. The blaringly obvious clown figure that's on the sign is replaced with Bethesda's own Mr. Fuzzy, which is just meant to represent the park mascot. But other than that, the ride is still the same. It has more or less the same color scheme. The ride's picnic's fun for all sub-signs underneath it, and it's pretty obvious that the real-life sign was the inspiration for this. Now, once you enter the park, you will begin to see typical amusement park fare. There's a carousel, there are midway games, food stalls, a track ride where you go through a house, almost like a haunted house style ride. And while it's obvious that Bethesda was not able to incorporate every single kind of ride that's available at the real Camden Park, they have at least tried to give you the feeling that you're at an amusement park. And the one thing that Bethesda was able to more or less recreate was the famous Big Dipper roller coaster that is actually a fairly well-known roller coaster inside of the roller coaster enthusiast community. Now, obviously, again, they couldn't use the real name of the roller coaster, so it was changed to the Widowmaker. But other than that, the roller coaster is a representation of the Big Dipper roller coaster. And for not being able to include all of the different rides, the different water rides, the different mini coasters, the different thrill rides, Bethesda has still done a decent job of trying to pay homage to the real existing Camden Park while still putting their own spin on it. So overall, I would say in the grand scope of real life locations that Bethesda was given to choose from, this was a fairly good choice, and they've done a fairly good job of bringing Camden Park to life. And that's really all that I have to say as far as Camden Park. I'm sorry, this is a bit of a shorter video. Camden Park is, being an amusement park, doesn't really have the driving history that some of the other locations may have, such as Point Pleasant or the Whitespring Golf Course, which is Bethesda's recreation of the famous Greenbrier Hotel. But it's still a nice little touch that Bethesda did, that they didn't just focus on the big, obvious choices for locations, but they also tried to incorporate some of the smaller world-building type of locations, the type of locations that make you feel more immersed in this idea that you're walking across a post-apocalyptic West Virginia. So like I said, I believe that really kind of covers everything that I have to say about Camden Park in Fallout 76. Again, it's a pretty good representation, and if you're ever in West Virginia, why don't you take a day? Go visit the real-life Camden Park, give it a try, take a ride on the Big Dipper. And if you're ever walking through post-apocalyptic West Virginia, hop on down to Camden Park. Visit Fuzzy Brenda, toss some dross, kill some scorched, take a ride on the Widowmaker, do whatever your heart desires, and have fun doing it. And I hope that you all have enjoyed watching this little tour of a real-life location in Fallout 76, just as much as I did researching it and putting it together. Again, these are some of my more favorite videos to do, just because it kind of lets me get into the lore of the games, but it also lets me get into discovering more about these real-life locations and the fascinating little bits of history that make them up. I'm going to go ahead and wrap up. If you've enjoyed this video, drop me a comment down below. Let me know what you think. Tell me what you like. Let me know what you think I could add into these videos for the future. And if you're not subscribed already, go ahead, hit that subscribe button, ring the notification bell. That way you know when I'm uploading more videos. I'm going to go ahead and wrap everything up. Hope you all have enjoyed, and I'll talk to you all next time.